welcome to another great adventure. My name is Kirk, commonly known as Captain Kirk, but I'm not the captain of this great voyage that we're about to partake in. I'm here at the Waikiki Yacht Club on Oahu, and behind me here is an island packet that will be sailing across the Pacific Ocean to Alaska, and I'm part of a crew of 3. Pete is the captain and owner of the vessel, and a friend of his, Yuko, who's from Seattle. We'll be provisioning throughout the week and getting all the systems checked out and making sure that everything's totally functioning before we head out.
Hanu. Ha. Hanu. Ha. Hanu. Ha. He homai, kane, kanaloa, lono, and ku. E ulu, kini o ke akua. Ulu kane me kanaloa. Ulu oi alau kua me ka hie ie. He mai anō i kōku ahu. Heia ka waila, e vai e hola. E hola no e. Honey. And we call forth peace and protection for everybody in the crew today with this Oli no Hoana, in love and in pono. It calls forth and also speaks and invokes the spiritual name of Laka, who is the spirit and goddess of the upland, hills and mountain. So kind of good you call this fort, because when you're over there, you're going to be wishing you've seen mountains sometimes. Yeah? So keep you connected. So keep you connected. Okay. No na ke aku I kana hele I halaia e ke ki ohu e kaua koko. E na kino malu I kalani, malu e hoe. E o ulu mai ana o laga I kona maukahu. O mako noa.
Hey, you won't be needing those for a while. Have a nice trip.
Thanks, Chris. We'll see you on the other side. I'll pull that up here in a minute.
Yeah. Bon voyage.
Okay, well, basically why you would start getting sales out. have planned this trip. I've been looking forward to it. I was very happy when, Yuko I had seen before, and she indicated, last year it wasn't the right time, and so I just stayed in touch with her and said, yeah, she can carve out a little time for us this time. And then with you, Mac, just he's a good resource, knowing different people. And that's the main thing, is getting some people that are helpful together. My last crossing was in 2019 from Oahu to Sitka and into Juneau. So basically the same passage we're making this time. Professional I have gave me a route, and he says we're going to be in a couple days faster than I normally make it. I'm not putting any money on that yet.
About 6 to 7 knots plus, and this is kind of our first day where we really had some good sun. We had a number of squalls running through this morning, and since this is our day number 3, we've been pushing pretty good since we've got some good sea swells rolling through, but the idea is that perhaps we picked up half a day. Everywhere you look, it's all ocean. You cannot see land from anywhere. Even standing on the deck, we've only got a radius of about 12 nautical miles, and so we are far from shore.
Offering me this trip in the past couple of years, and I just hadn't had a chance to do this simply. It just this year, it just worked out.
February 6th, and it's a Saturday. We're cruising along with about 15-mile-an-hour winds, moving along somewhere between 6.5 and 7 knots, I think. But we are making good time. We had a few problems starting out. The autopilot was not functioning, so it was 3 days of hard steering through rock and roll waves, and that was around the clock. We spent a good 5+ hours, I suspect, on working on the autopilot. There was a hydraulic fluid leak which wouldn't hold the pressure for keeping the course. We did encounter on our third day, I think it was, another sailboat to our starboard side, probably 12 miles off, and he apparently left. His name's Gary. He left Oahu at the same time, also heading for Sitka, Alaska. So I think as we were doing our repairs, he was kind of checking on us, seeing that we were kind of moseying around over here and wanted to make sure that we were safe. He is solo handling his sailing adventure to Sitka, and was just checking to make sure everything was good. The autopilot itself is a cylinder tube that has a piston, a steel piston down the center, and a tie rod end on the end that ties into the quadrant for the steering of the boat going either starboard or port. What happened is the tie rod end came off, and what's kind of strange is that it's got a locking nut that holds it into place. So why it came off, nobody knows. enough to have blue skies and sun, which is always nice. The downside of calm seas like this is the fact that we're running the motor and have been for about 18 hours now. An ocean passage like this, typically we're on a port side tack for the direction we're heading, and pretty much stay on that tack. So the whole day we just kind of sit around and watch the time pass and have our breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and then do our nightly watches that are basically about 3 hours. Instead of sailing on a course, we're sailing on a wind direction set up by the autopilot, and what that does is it allows the boat to track the wind and sail at the direction in which the wind is blowing. So what we need to do is kind of veer more northeast, and right now the course looks like it's headed for the Aleutian Islands, but that's just kind of a point of reference. But we're slowly moving around this low that's just kind of kicking the winds out, although we are having apparent wind speed of 18 plus knots. The boat speed is 6.2 knots. Pete's also been working on the numbers here of our apparent true wind speed, our compass heading, and our wind angle to recalculate our course. Sometimes really difficult to walk. You've got to kind of grab at things, hang on the railing, and everything else is, the boat is at a 15 to 20 degree list, and also bucking from bow to stern. I was making an omelet this morning for the crew, and and standing in the galley, which is always a good place to go, and a series of rough waves came rolling through as I was doing something in the sink there, and didn't have a very good grab, so in the process took a pretty hefty tumble down into the aft berth, and along the way managed to smack my elbow, I think, on the ladder going up to the cockpit. So maybe a little squeamish, but I'll show you here. There's no broken bones, there's no issues other than the fact that it's one hell of a bump, and it's primarily fluid that's in there. So it'll go down in a few days, but in any case, it looks nastier than it feels. All day today, and we finally made our first starboard tack on the entire trip here to kind of bring us back in line on our direction. Skies are kind of perking up a little bit here, trying to get the sun to break through, but who knows. We've had definitely a cloudy trip so far for the most part, maybe only a couple half days where we've had sun, but we've had rain, but not gully washers like we thought we might have, so we're pretty good there.
He brought his Jenniker along to sail for the return trip, which is pretty much a downhill run. We flew it, and it looked really nice under light winds, but the winds were kind of finicky, so we took it down. We stowed it on the deck and had it lashed to the lifeline. We came out today to do the refueling of the tanks with our gas cans, and we backed up and noticed that the Jennifer bag was missing. So, very unfortunate. The sea has claimed another article of boatware that's really important for sailing. It just shows the power of the sea and how much it can do to either create damage or take away what you cherish on the boat. Low winds, and so this is second time we've ran the motor. First time was for about 36 hours. This one here will run for a couple hours and keep us going. poles on the aft end of the boat here with a couple of lures that just kind of skim across the water. So far we've caught nothing. You'd think in this big vast ocean that there'd be some gullible fish out there wanting to hook on to provide a nice meal for us, but so far it hasn't happened. This is the 17th day on our voyage. We're less than 500 miles from Sitka, and we've been pretty much sailing since last evening or early this morning, and doing roughly 7 knots plus, and under cloudy skies as usual. We did have a little bit of a sun break today, but basically clouds were on the horizon, no really blue sky, and we've got sea swells here probably 8 to 10 feet.
This was a leisure sailing. We will get there when we get there. However, we are not wasting time if there is an efficient way. we always try to chase that. Now, to get there, again, there was always planning, there was always thinking. My past sailing experience has been more about the racing. You know, we didn't have time to think why we are doing this, why now. You know, if there is a wind, we just try to catch it, and that's all. But in this trip, you know, Pete was really planning well, really thinking about logic and explaining it to us too. And so for that reason, I gained more knowledge. I really appreciate that. If I pre-studied a little bit more about this navigation as a whole, just in general, it would probably give me a think ahead, and maybe it would make sense faster for me when Pete is explaining it to me. So, you know, pre-planning on my part as far as navigation, I think that would make a difference. I want to have the captain like Pete, who has, again, you know, the good planning. Also, he worked with, you know, multiple sources, you know, same weather person, and that was actually a big relief to my mom, to my family, that we are not just sailing, right? There is always a resource that he always used, and that's very intelligent to me, very wise to me.
The boat held together as well as I expected it to. You know, go over the boat, make sure things are, you know, appear to be working and have been working. And I mean, things like the autopilot going out at the very beginning was a little surprise. So I was very happy to make sure it had spare parts that could fix it. It would have been a totally different trip if you were sitting back there in the cold and rain and steering, you know, 24/7. I've had this boat now, I hate to say it, since 2009, so that's, what, 16 years, and still learning stuff about the boat, how to sail it properly. Another boat left Honolulu the same time we did. It was going up the same place up to Sitka's. We were, with, I think, 4 days out when he came up next to us while we were doing some minor repairs. He was the same size boat, and I thought, oh, we're going to kind of sail along pretty much together. And he was single-handing. He didn't have a staysail, which is helpful for sailing upwind, which we were at the very beginning. My boat has mainsail and jib and a staysail. We're all furling, so I can adjust everything from the cockpit. It makes it very easy to reef, put them in, take them out, whatever, very easily. He had to, you know, go up to the mast every time he wanted to furl his main, and he finally just said, I'm going to set it in between and hope for the best. We were able to take advantage of having a crew, having a boat set up the way it was to adjust to the different weather conditions, you know, quite quickly and keep the boat moving. On this crossing, I got a little bit more involved in really looking at weather patterns and looking at what routes are. I talked a bit with my weather router, Rick Shima, and made some suggestions, and I was very happy. You know, he said, yeah, I can see why you wanted to do that. Yeah, let's do that. I still don't, I'm by no means an expert, you know, but just have a little bit better understanding of weather patterns, and with routing and so forth, you look at where you want to go and when you want to be someplace, and the weather is constantly changing. You can't say that, oh, the weather is good here, I should go here, because when you go there, that weather is going to be going someplace else. You have to figure out farther down the line where's the weather going to be, and that's where you want to be when the weather's there. You know, we had some winds, you know, 25 knots, a little bit occasionally. But he does make sure I don't get myself into trouble. You know, whatever hand you're dealt, you make the best out of it. great crew that was willing to assist and put up with me. Everybody kind of did their own thing. I mean, had their responsibilities, took care of it. Miss having you guys. Thank you.
Well, terrific. Well, it's been a pleasure being on the boat with you and getting to know you and sailing with you and picking up some of your skills and such like that. So I do appreciate it.
Kirk, I appreciate having you aboard. Thank you very much.